Familia, I appreciate you being here with me still. You could say that we've reached the end of, well, never mind the title. Cause this is life and it's still being written. And if you think about it, there is no end, just chapters and intersections. I'm at the intersection, somewhere between earth and heaven, birth and death and resurrection. Looking back on the map of my life, reflecting and rapping my introspection. The curses and stress and learning of lessons, losing direction. The pain and depression's what made me mix music and message. And it took so much to get here.
Hey guys, Gina Butson, Going Beyond Real Estate. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the show. On this week's episode, I wanted to cover the market that we are currently in, and this is, of course, my opinion. Some of it is data that I do receive every week from Candace at Chicago Title Company. Thanks, Candace. Oh, wait, there she is. Thanks, Candace. And I just wanted to, it's so helpful because, so like for me right now, I currently have a listing in Oakley, and it's a super cute starter home. It's 1,200 square feet. It has a small backyard with a little kids' play structure. It has artificial turf in the back, so it's low maintenance. 3-bed, 2-bath. Perfect like cookie cutter first time home buyer. The sellers aren't attached to their appliances, so write them in the contract. We're not opposed to seller credits, put in the contract. And I think for us in this market, we've had a few open houses already. We've been on the market for 30, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it's 38 days. And I want you guys to know, and this is why I do this show, is because when you sit and you start to get anxious and you start to get worried, and I always say, this is when fear finds its way in and you start questioning, is something wrong with the house? You start questioning, this is as my sellers. We're discussing things together, and we just did a price reduction. We reduced it $10,000, so now we're at $540,000. And so, we're doing all the right things. And it's just really hard when it's such an emotional experience anyway. And so when you throw in a weird market, and I say weird because we have houses flying off the shelves, and then we have some that sit, and then we have some, I've been posting just crazy, right? I've been posting on Facebook, sold. I think I like slammed out 4 in the last 7 days. Well, the thing is, those houses sat for more than 30 days. And if you were one of my clients, you would have been on the crazy roller coaster with me in some of those. And I mentioned this on Facebook. I said, hey, I'm going to do an episode on the drama, like on my recent closing in Citrus Heights. And I think it's very important, not only for just my clients, but I think it's important for those who are thinking about selling and you really don't know what to expect. And, my job as your agent is to keep the stress and drama at a minimum. And a lot of times it's unavoidable, yet if it's explained to you by your agent, you'll have an understanding, and then you'll be like, okay, well, that makes sense. And I think that's one of the things that not sets me apart from other agents, but I think because I'm not afraid to have those tough conversations, and I know I've said this on multiple shows, but it is, you have to be able to deliver bad news tastefully, and you have to be able to have those tough discussions and those tough conversations. And, I have this home in Oakley. I have another one that just rolled out on Saturday night in Discovery Bay, 2 bed, 2 bath. Uh, it's 2 story. It has views of the water. It's not on the water, but it does have views of the water, and that one's 525. And you know, I think with the weather, with generally this time of the year tends to be slower. So this time of the year we may have to sit a little bit longer. That's nature of the beast. This is where we're at. And so I just wanted to kind of go over that with anybody watching the show that, you know, houses. I had an agent. I had an agent tell me last week, "Oh, you haven't received any offers on your house in Oakley? This is a hot market. It's hot. It's hot." And I was just thinking, who is this guy? And where what market is he in? Because we're not in the same market. And I think another reason that I love doing this show and I love what I do is because no transaction is the same and no client is the same and no house is the same. And so I'm constantly pivoting and changing and, just like really trying to figure this out as we go. And now that I've sold numerous properties in multiple areas, I've learned the different markets all up and down the delta. And so it helps. And I think a lot of people, sometimes I think Oakley gets a bad rap. And I say that because their taxes are a little bit higher. But okay, so don't let that scare you, right? Okay, so the taxes are a little bit higher. Call your loan officer. If you're looking and there's a house available in Oakley, run the numbers. See how much higher it is, because it could be the difference between $50 a month to be in the house that you really wanted, but someone said, "Oh, their taxes are high." Like, this is one of my biggest pet peeves is someone talking and making a comment that they just don't know enough about our industry, our market to really, I'm trying not to be rude. uh, you really shouldn't, if you're not a real estate agent or you're not a loan officer and you've bought a house, but you bought a house in the last 20 years, you're really probably not the best resource. And without being super rude, because we did have someone that wanted to write an offer on our Oakley house, and finding out the agent said, "Well, the mom, our buyer, she talked to her mom and her mom just said now's not the time to buy and this and that." And I was just thinking, "Oh man, we're trying to sell our property. This buyer loved the house." And then she's all excited, goes home, talks to her mom, and her mom's like, "No, now's not a good time. Like, don't you watch the news? Don't buy, don't buy." And I was just thinking, "No." And I told the other agent, I said, "Oh, this is the hardest part. This is the hardest part about our job is we're constantly fighting the media. We're constantly fighting bad information. We're constantly myth busting and trying to clean up the mess someone else made by false statements." And so it's just upsetting. So if you have a friend that is in this industry and you just need your questions answered, you really should just reach out. I don't care. Call me. "Gina, we're thinking about selling. Our house is in El Sobrante. What days? What are we looking at? What do we need to do? How do we get ready for that? What to expect? What is, all these things, all these questions. I have the answers to all of these questions. I know when people start to panic. I know when, fear starts to set in. I know when, like, you just learn to read people and you read the room, and so have those conversations. And so call your friend that's in this industry, and you're gonna talk to people who will have something to say because they think they know it all and they think they know better. And what the heck does she know? She's just trying to make a sale. Actually, I'm not. Actually, I just want to get the best information out there, so that you can make a decision. Is it really the right time? Is it in your family's best interest? I don't know. That's your decision. But I'm going to give you all the data, all the information, and you're going to decide, is now the right time to sell? Because you know better than anybody else. Once you get the information from me about what the market's doing, listen, a house will always sell. You can sell any house, right? For the right price. So you have people that are sitting because maybe you're sitting for 30 days. You really don't have that much flexibility. You can't do price reductions. You're priced right at where the market is. Now you're just waiting for that one buyer. You're hoping to get lucky, right? You're waiting. Finally, someone sees the value of your home. Boom, you're in contract. All that, panicking and worrying about, this is just the market. This is just the process. This is just what happens when you're trying to sell your home. There's a lot of emotion. You think you're okay and you think, it's not a big deal. I mean, of course it's a big deal. It's $500,000. But because you're in it, even when I was selling my house, I was just like, like spinning out of control. And I was like, are we going to get an offer? Oh my God, I really want this other house. And so it was just crazy. So I get it. And I know the process. I know what to expect. I know what was coming. I know how to navigate and get out of whatever we found ourselves in, for whatever reason. There's always a way. Like, I am a professional problem solver. So it's funny that when I hear that the mom talked her out of it and the mom said now is not a good time to buy, it really made me get in front of the camera. It really made me roll this out because I just think, damn it, here we are with bad information again. We are willing to give a seller credit. So this buyer can actually buy down her rate. And instead of being in the 6s, she was going to be in the 5s because we were willing to help her out with that. She was worried about appliances. We weren't attached to them. Keep them. We're going to buy new ones in our new home when we upgrade and buy it anyway. So it's just like, oh, bad information. And so the mom's probably going to tell her when, April, May runs around and there's feeding frenzies and now you have to overbid by $75,000 and waive all your contingencies and, now the market's hot and now you're priced out because you got bad information. It just sucks. I've been saying that a lot lately. I've ran into some really, really difficult transactions and, closing them, but it wasn't easy. And that was one of the things when I mentioned on Facebook again that when you're in a transaction and if we're selling the home, right? And I'm just going to jump right on into this because I think it's very important that you guys get to see the coming soon post. Yes, you guys get to see there goes Gina selling another one. There goes, but man, what it took to get us from coming soon to sold, nobody has any idea. Maybe there was not one hiccup and it was just smooth sailing. That it happens. However, on this one in Citrus Heights, Jesus, and sorry, Lord, shouldn't take your name in vain, but holy, it was nonstop rug pulls on me. And, thankfully, I pretty much, I don't want to say I predicted it, but when I meet with a seller and we have those initial conversations and I say, look, this is what do you want? What is the end game? Is there a magic number? Is there you want to close this fast, da 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 da, whatever. Like we lock down what you want as a seller. Now, we get you out onto the market. Now, with this client, we talked a lot and very good communicator. And when we hit the market and we went into contract the first time, it was a cash offer, 10-day close, no seller credit because it's cash. They usually, they'll offer a little bit less because they're offering you a quick close. Sounds good, right? So generally, a cash offer's pretty solid. And I had told my seller, I said, hey, they provided the bank statement, proof of funds. This is their offer. We went over it together. We compared it to the other offers, and still it was strong. It was a little bit less, but for our transaction, it was more important to close quickly, and cash could offer that, less headaches, shorter contingencies, shorter closing. Instead of 30 to 45 days, they were offering 10-day close. To be done with this, I'll give you a few thousand for that. So we accepted it, right? So we go pending the next day because we were negotiating at night. We go pending the next day, and we probably that night, no, it's not true. We went pending that night. So we finished negotiating late. It was, I want to say like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We penned. The next day at maybe 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, the agent calls me and says they have to cancel. And I was, first of all, I was shocked because we weren't even pending 24 hours. Like, we've been pending 12 hours. What the hell happened from, late last night to first thing in the morning? And normally when it's cash, it's solid. It's slam dunk, If there's anything I've learned, there is no slam dunk in lending or real estate. There is no cookie cutter. I'm working a cash transaction right now, and talk about hitting a roadblock, landmine, blew my foot off. But we are in the process of getting that rectified. So back to our Citrus Heights cash. So we fall out of contract. So then we go back on the market. We do a price reduction because we do want a quick close. And so I want to say we did 10 or 15,000. We did a price reduction. I start calling because we received a ton of offers on this house. And so I went back to every agent and I said, hey, we're back on the market. God, we had something like 5 cash offers and maybe like 6 financed. I think that first go round of offers. And so the second offer acceptance was the day before Christmas Eve. So it was Christmas Eve. And we're in negotiations. We finally lock it down. This is going to be a regular financed 30-day close, but her contingencies she removed. it was going to be 10-day contingencies, which was good. It wasn't 17. It wasn't 21. It wasn't like they were decent. So she shortened those. We're excited. My seller's excited. It's quite a bit more because it is finance. So now we're sitting pretty, right? So the 10 days passes. The earnest money was deposited just as expected within the 3 days. And on the 10th day, so wait, I'm trying to remember. Okay. Contingencies were 10 days. And then we send out an email that says, friendly reminder, your contingencies are due tomorrow. So we expect them, like, send your release of contingencies, blah, blah, blah. So we, the next day, we're like, okay, hi. Hi, it's me. Can you release your contingencies now? And it was weird. I knew something was wrong. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. But she was so communicative. Is that how you say that? Her communication was awesome in the beginning. And we were so excited. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? You get to say your offer was accepted, after they thought the house was gone. And then we came back for hey, we're back on the market. You guys had a second chance, swooped it up. I just thought it was really cool. Like, what a cool story, right? To get that call Christmas Eve, and the house that you wanted, you're now pending. You're in contract. So, we hit the 10 days. Excuse me. We hit the 10 days and we receive an extension. And the extension was for another 2 weeks. So, me coming from the lending world, I was like, oh my gosh, they don't have a loan. It died. They're trying to save it. What happened? Oh gosh, what am I going to tell my seller? I was like, this isn't our fault. This is completely, it's out of our control. But can you navigate, pivot, and what are you going to do about it, Gina? And so she sends the extension, right? Asking for 2 weeks. And I'm like, she didn't do nothing? She didn't do the appraisal. She didn't do the inspections. She did nothing in the past 10 days. I was absolutely shocked. So I called her. Because I needed to know what the hell happened. And you don't do that. And so called her up and I said, hey, it's Gina. So you need a 2-week extension. And I said, I was a loan officer before I became a real estate agent. And in that world, I know this means you don't have a loan currently. And she says, no, I'm pulling it and going to my preferred lender. And I said, okay, so you do not have a loan right now. Oh, yeah. Well, no, but we're going to get approved. And I said, what happened? Oh, she said, okay, I'm just going to tell you the truth. That'd be nice. I go, give it to me. Like, I already know what's going on. I already know what happened. I'm telling you, your loan died. I'm telling you, I know. And she's like, okay, I can tell her. She already kind of knows. The cat's out of the bag. Let me just keep it real. No, you need to always keep it real. Learn how to deliver bad news. If you knew it died, when the hell did it die? Did it die the day after Christmas? Did it die when you just let it sit for 10 days and you didn't do anything? Like, what is happening? And what leads me to that conclusion is because her extension was for 2 weeks to release our contingencies, that's a very long time. That is 14 days. You're telling me you are nowhere, you have no inspections, the house doesn't change. So you could knock out your inspections, you could have got the appraisal, you could have done what you needed to do still so that you wouldn't need to extend for 14 days. Like, it was go time, and the ball went to her and she fumbled. Like, there's no other way to say this. And, I had to go back to my seller and tell him the bad news. And I said, look, I don't know what's going on that side. I believe the loan's dead, and we just need to send our notice to perform. It gives them 3 days. After the 3 days, then we're going to cancel. So we were going to go through the weekend, and then we would be able to cancel on Monday. And so we did our due diligence. We sent out our form. And I knew that this lady in previous conversations had sold her car to do this transaction. But because I ran the scenario desk for so many years, the second that agent said she sold her car just to get this house, I was thinking in my mind, okay, you can't do that. That's unseasoned funds. The sale of the car, I'm sure they didn't get it appraised. She just sold it. Now that money is ineligible to use for the purchase. Like, it's just this huge, like, and so knowing what I know sometimes makes it, I don't want to say harder, but I know what's coming. And, at least I can prepare. And who wasn't telling her that those funds wouldn't be eligible? And, any of my loan officer, real estate agent friends, mostly loan officer friends tuning in, they'll know, like, she thought she was going to use unseasoned funds from a car sale. Like, it's just because we see it all the time. That's something that we do see a lot. And so that was the other episode of drama from this second. So now we are in our second contract that is now we're falling out of. So I call seller, give him the bad news, and I'm like, look, let's go back. I'm going to go, and we're canceling. They ended up calling us Saturday morning because we were going to cancel on Monday anyway. So she called me back Saturday and was like, Gina, it's just too much. It's too much for the buyer to get this done and get the money, and make it happen. We understood. We're releasing her earnest money. No one's trying to keep anything. And so we release it, we cancel it, release it. And I'm up and moving again, right? Calling everybody, posting back on the market, no fault of property, blah, 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 blah. So now we're going to be on our third round, right? We're trying to get this thing back in a contract for the third time. And I go back to all the other offers. Now, we come back to the market. Excuse me. We had been on the market, I think we were close to like 60 days. And before that, we sat with no offers in the beginning, like nothing, right? So we lost 2 weeks, basically, because of Christmas, New Year's. We lost 2 weeks with the second buyer. Now we're going to the third, right? So I start calling everybody. Here we go again. Oh, we're coming back on the market. That weekend, we come back. So we hit the market. We canceled Saturday. Gosh, I think I had us back into contract. I don't even know if it was Wednesday. I feel like it was sooner, but we'll just say 3 days just to, be cool. So I call this one agent and I'm like, hey, your offer is next in line, highest and best. And because we came back Saturday, it was early enough that we hit the market and we got 13 offers in 2 days. I hadn't seen that many offers, in maybe 8 months, probably closer to a year. I'm just trying to be conservative a little bit about it. But so we have 13 offers, and this guy was in the original round of offers, but he wasn't the highest and he wasn't the best. So he comes back and he's like, okay, what do we need to do? And I'm like, you need to be highest and best. Like that's, and Jessica, I know, Jessica Robinson, she always says, Gina, I can always just hear you saying highest and best because I do not give any information. If you call me and say, like, where do I need to be? What do I need? It's highest and best. Like you figure it out. And so this guy, super cool guy, we start talking on the phone and he starts bringing up, you used to be a loan officer and this and that. And I was like, oh yeah. And I said, oh my gosh, I started in this industry back in 2000 at Greenpoint Mortgage. And he was like, Greenpoint Mortgage, hey, do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? And he was like, I love Greenpoint. And he started naming off like some of our sales reps who I remember. And it was just hilarious because our industry is so big, but it is so small. Everyone knows everybody. And so we're talking and he's like, listen, I'm ready to go. We're going to slam this thing through. And his offer was, he had the shortest contingency dates. He was the highest, but some of the other terms kind of was FHA, those tend to go a little bit longer. But here's what made it, this is why he was A, chosen in this round of offers, and B, because he knew how to play the game. He had his client fully underwritten. So that takes 2 weeks off of what you're trying to do, your contingency dates. He could be super aggressive with his dates. And so we had, there was so much with this transaction. So rewind a little bit. Right before this guy, there was another agent, and we had selected him, sent him our counter offer, and our counter offer just cut down his contingency dates. That's it. That was all. And we send out the counter. He doesn't respond 1 day. And we put 2 days for the response. He doesn't respond. I'm like, what the heck? Okay, first of all, we only shaved 3 days off of his contingencies, which he verbally agreed to. Like, this is what I was dealing with this transaction. He verbally agrees. So I'm like, okay, it should be coming in, la, la, la. We don't get it. And then I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these other agents? Like, you said you could do this, so we counter, and then you just ghost us? Madness, right? So that's when we went to the other guy, called him, met him, liked him. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you, if you can shorten your contingency dates, we're wrapping this thing up. Let's go. And he was like, what? Oh, I can shorten them. He was like, I'll do 7-day loan, 7-day inspection, and 10-day appraisal. And so I get his offer, right? And I was like, that's weird. It's usually they're flipped, but whatever. I want to talk to him. So I call him and I'm like, hey, you put 7-day loan. I was like, this is FHA. I said, you must be fully underwritten. And he was like, oh, we are. And we're ready to go. And I was just like, okay, I like it. He's aggressive. He's standing behind what he's saying. He knows what he's talking about. And so I was like, man. So I call the seller and I'm like, okay, he's agreeing to all of our terms. I said, but you saw what just happened. We're we're countering to what they're agreeing to. And so we put on we needed an answer by the end of business day that day, because we didn't want to sit any longer. And honestly, both the seller and I were like, man, and I told him, I said, I have never experienced shenanigans like these agents. This is awful. And so anyway, he accepts our counteroffer. Moving right along, right? Moving. 3 days. Earnest money goes in. I get a call from escrow. Hey, Gina. Yes? Because you never want to get a call from escrow. I get so nervous. And so I get a call from escrow and I'm like, yeah? Gina, we just received our earnest money, but we already have an earnest money on file. And I was like, what? And I said, no, that other agent canceled. We signed the cancellation form and we released earnest money. And they said, no, the other agent didn't say anything and didn't ask for the earnest money. And I just think, holy crap. So this poor woman that sold her car didn't get her earnest money yet because the agent didn't email escrow and get that released for them? What? Guys, this is why it was so important for me to make this podcast. And you can tell your agent, talk to your, realtor about this, whatever. This is the level of service that we are experiencing in this market. And I cannot say this enough, that you please vet who you are working with and make sure they are truly working in your best interest. And it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And that we were maybe a week past, a full 7 business day week passed, and her earnest money was in limbo at escrow, just waiting. Escrow was just waiting to be told what to do with it. We released it. So, our hands I was already locked up in the other transaction. Like, we're done, but gosh, it really sucked. And so moving on, I slammed this thing through. The other agent slams this thing through, and we ended up closing an FHA purchase in 10 days. 10 days. Because some people just know what they're doing. And as a previous loan officer, we had programs at Land Home Financial. It was called BAM. And it was a fully underwritten pre-approval. And a lot of people don't utilize that and should. So if you are thinking about purchasing, make sure you are not just getting a pre-approval. Make sure, if you can, you are getting fully underwritten as a TBD, a to be determined address, and they'll be able to approve you fully. You can do a shorter close. You still have your contingencies but it just gives you that one little step ahead of everybody else. And so it's so important It is a conditionally approved, pre-underwritten approval. So it's not a pre-approval is really someone looking, "Oh, I think you qualify. Okay, it looks like you qualify for 700, but you're going to have to go through underwriting." You could go through underwriting and then they're like, "Oh, your income, the average, we're going to be conservative and you really only qualify for 625." Okay, well, what the heck? I'm already looking at houses for more. That's why it's so important to work with people who know what they're doing. All right. All right, guys. I've taken up way too much of your time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope it made sense. If nothing made sense, call me, Gina. You started talking about this, how, it was a FHA, but they got it done in 10 days. How? I can go into more detail about it. I can do our little weekly update of what the market's doing. If you're thinking about selling, let's take a look at your neighborhood. Let's take a look at what's going on comp wise, the comparables in your neighborhood. Let's pull them. Let's check it out. It doesn't do anything to check out and just have the knowledge and know what you're doing. All right, you guys, I love you. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Going Beyond Real Estate, obviously, Gina Butson, 925-329-9999. All right, you guys, love you. Take care. Bye.
Gina. I like Gina.
You like Gina?
Yeah. Gina, name Gina. I want Gina Bud.
Familia, I appreciate you being here with me still. You could say that we've reached the end of, well, never mind the title. Cause this is life and it's still being written. If you think about it, there is no end, just chapters and intersections. I'm at the intersection, somewhere between earth and heaven, birth and death and resurrection. Looking back on the map of my life, reflecting and rapping my introspection. The curses and stress and learning of lessons, losing direction. The pain and depression's what made me mix music and message. And it took so much to get here, but now the view is majestic. I guess these many graves then gave me perspective. I've seen it sometimes right behind the grief is hiding the blessings. And other times it is what it is and the globe still spins. We cry those tears and dry them all.